listening to Abstract AF and I'm Sneha Jaiswal. In this episode, we are going to be talking about My Name is Red by Orhan Pamuk, a book that helped him win the 2006 Nobel Prize for Literature. My Name is Red is a fictional art history novel that doubles up as a murder mystery set in the 1450s during the Ottoman Empire. The story starts off with a corpse narrating his death. We get to know that the dead person speaking to the reader is a talented miniaturist called Elegant Effendi, who was part of a group of artisans working under an old man, Enişte Effendi, who was commissioned to make a book by the ruler of their land. Many tend to view the book as the story of a character called Black, a failed illustrator who comes back to Istanbul after almost a decade and then tries to win over the recently widowed Shekure, who's the daughter of Enişte Effendi. But there is also the whole mystery over who murdered Elegant Effendi, and three of Enişte's top miniaturists are the primary suspects. And Black, unfortunately, gets entangled in this whole mess. So while Orhan Pamuk explores a lot of themes, above everything, My Name is Red is the story of art and its place in the Islamic world. In the very first few chapters, the reader is informed that Elegant was murdered because he doubted the nature of the work he and his fellow artists were commissioned to do. Elegant was of the view that his master, that is Enişte Effendi, was committing a grave crime by deviating from the traditional Ottoman miniaturist art by imitating the Venetians. And that's the strongest theme of the book. Ottoman miniature paintings versus the emerging Venetian style of painting that was soon taking over the West. So let's take a look at this clash of the two art schools, the Persian-inspired Ottoman miniaturist form and the Venetian form of painting that was spreading from Italy to the world. Based on the story narrated by Pamuk, the Ottoman miniature artists drew their paintings from God's point of view. If they had to draw a scene, they would ask themselves, how would it look to God? Which is why, if you look at miniature paintings, they are slightly abstract and not very realistic. Also, Ottoman miniaturists did not believe in individual styles. So if 10 master miniaturists were asked to paint a certain scene, an ordinary onlooker, even if he was familiar with all of the artists, would never be able to differentiate between the painters. He wouldn't be able to point out that this man drew this painting. Not only that, the artists were also forbidden from leaving any sort of signatures to their work because they are not considered the creators of these paintings. Remember, it's from God's point of view. Basically, there's a lot of religious belief mixed in their art. The Ottomans believed that only Allah could create things. So if an artist tried to make something completely original and too realistic, it would be considered blasphemous, because it meant the painter was trying to play God with his paintings. And this is why these paintings were also considered inferior to text and were earlier made only to accompany textual books. The Venetian school of painting, on the other hand, was a lot more realistic and focused on individual styles and portraiture. So while Ottoman miniatures would have multiple subjects, Venetian paintings most of the time would focus on an individual subject and could be life-sized. Ottoman artists considered this sacrilegious because according to them, Venetian paintings made humans appear godlike. In the West, anybody with enough money could commission a European artist to make their portraits. But if someone tried the same thing in the Ottoman Empire, they would probably be beheaded. Although it's not like rich people did not get paintings commissioned, but they had to do it secretly and take a lot of precautions to ensure that it was never discovered in the public. Because nobody, except perhaps the Shah, is considered important enough to have a lifelike painting of theirs made. Essentially, in My Name is Red, Orhan Pamuk displays this resistance of Islamic artists to adapt to the new styles of paintings emerging around the world. So in a way, this story of art schools also symbolizes the stubbornness of the Islamic world to embrace change. And it's really a strange state of affairs because on one hand, the Ottomans of the 15th century didn't consider miniature paintings as high art At the same time, not conforming to Islamic beliefs when it came to these paintings was considered serious enough for one artist to kill another. Orhan Pamuk, who grew up in Istanbul, spins this elaborate tale of art, murder, and religion to not just explore his own roots and reconnect with them, but to also give his readers an essence of the culture and history of his land. The novel needs a lot of patience to read, and those who prefer pacey stories will have a hard time keeping their attention up. If you're interested in a short explainer of the book and other themes, let us know on Twitter. Our handle is at the rate AFAbstract, AFABSTRACT. Well, that's all for this episode. Talk to you in the next one.